How do you see Bitcoin and AI, those two technologies kind of coming together? And what does this mean for the world? What does this mean for Bitcoin? What does Bitcoin mean for AI?
I mean, it's the classic Jeff Booth argument, really. It's abundance to an extent. I don't believe in like infinite energy. It's deflation to an extent. It's a rearrangement of things about what is a good life, what is a productive life, where do you want to live, like what jobs can you do? I mean, might be a meme, but it's a couple of years ago, I'm a journalist, right? A couple of years ago, journalists were being told, learn to code. Now, now the same journalists are even better coders because they can use vibe coding or whatever. I personally, I understand that vibe coding is a thing, but and I understand that it's now easier to code stuff, but I still don't know what to code. So as long as you don't know what you want to code, then it doesn't matter if it's AI or real language, code language. You have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have so many possibilities with AI, but you also need a use case. And there's a lot of this, Bitcoiners know about signal and noise, but there's a lot of noise in AI and what can you really use? And also this OpenClaw was a huge boom. I tried it and I was like, why do I need it? Like, why do I need to give an AI access to my wallet, access to my computer, access to like persistent memory if like my chat was already doing really good? So there's a lot of hype inside of it. But I'm always interested in the actual use cases of AI and the convergence of Bitcoin, because we have the real estate goes into Bitcoin. We have so many podcast episodes already that where real estate people, developer, investors went full on in Bitcoin. We had people that came from stocks. I mean, I myself came from stocks and get everything into Bitcoin. The same with, gold bucks also that were big on gold and came into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin kind of, I don't like the word, but like kind of sucks up all the monetary energy or monetary premium of other assets.
That is very important. That is extremely important. And it's like I have this meme by Anil Setso. I forgot his real name. I met him once in Prague. Lovely guy. And he does like the best infographics. And it's like you see that iPhone that sucks up maps and TV and radio and 100,000 other things that we now do on our phones, right? And that's one of the ways that technology has made our life easier and cheaper. We don't have to buy all that stuff. Like nobody buys an alarm clock anymore. My wife had an alarm clock actually because she didn't want it to be like her cell phone to be in the bedroom all the time, and we have to get up to get the kids to school. But now my youngest has destroyed the alarm clock, so now we have to go back to the cell phone for now. But besides like these niche things, you don't need these things anymore, right? Nobody's buying maps for the car anymore. And one of my main arguments long before AI was that the tokenization of assets is not going to happen in the way that many people think, because the first thing we tokenize is not the asset, but the value that's stored in the asset. We don't need to tokenize real estate in order to buy real estate that is only bought as a store of value. We can buy Bitcoin. We don't need to tokenize stocks that are only bought as a store of value. We can buy Bitcoin. We don't have to tokenize wines and sneakers and all the collectibles that have been, monetized and get a monetary premium, like you said, because you can buy Bitcoin. And that is one of the main things that has nothing to do with AI, one of the main economic things that very few people, I think, still understand. And this image that Anil did really sums it up, because you have the iPhone with all maybe you can I'll send it to you and then we can show it to people on YouTube. I think it's better than that. It's better to do it that way. And then you have Bitcoin, sucking the value out of stocks and bonds and cash and gold. I mean, not so much gold, to be honest, but like I always thought that Saylor is wrong about gold getting demonetized first. I think the other asset classes get demonetized before the actual monetary asset class gets demonetized by Bitcoin, if that makes sense. And AI is just. I think that the main thing is that it's one of those things where you can see how powerful it is, and you can like extrapolate where this might lead, and you have this feeling that you should be using it, but at the same time, when you try, you realize that sometimes it's more work than doing it yourself. Sometimes there are extremely useful use cases, but they're super small and they don't really go well with like trillions of dollars of investment, right? Like I use AI with my podcast, you use AI with your podcast, but that's only like the media production side, which is a small thing. But we can see the potential, and we all understand that we should, keep tabs on it. That's also one of the reasons why I started the other channel. Keep tabs on it and see where it leads.
And this is the thing that the people that got successful in Bitcoin were the ones that kept tabs on it and were open.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
There's always a new technology. In the beginning, it does not make sense.
Imagine if you go into AI not knowing about Bitcoin. I mean, you're never going to understand anything about the economic side of like agent, even if it doesn't matter right now because it's not happening really. But then maybe you go to stable coins, right? And you think about stable coins because that's what you know, US dollar or whatever. But it's almost impossible to understand the economics, like the real base economics that are at play here, if you don't understand Bitcoin. And like being a Bitcoiner is basically getting a PhD in Austrian economics. And now we're both Austrians sitting in Vienna, but we're like the only people still talking about Austrian economics, us and the other Bitcoiners, right? But it's getting a PhD in real economics. And I think that gives us a perspective. And you can, and then also the other thing is that it's now less edgy to be a Bitcoiner because everybody is edgy about AI and especially when it comes to like the power consumption, right? Since AI needs a new nuclear power plant for every like cake recipe that you get out of ChatGPT, there's no debate anymore about Bitcoin's power consumption. And I think that this is one of the things like that the public debate is going to be shaped by AI even more, and Bitcoin is going to look maybe less edgy, but also more approachable and normal in comparison to what's happening in the AI world.
A small side note: do you think that the environmental debate went away because it definitely did? I barely hear it anymore. Went away because of AI or also because of BlackRock? Because those two things kind of came at the same time.
That's a very good question. Well, first of all, yes, Larry Fink, before they even started the ETF, they declared that ESG is dead now. There's no money to be made. We made all the money we could with ESG and overpriced funds. We now need other stuff. We do ETFs on Bitcoin now. So that's one part, and the second part is definitely the AI thing. It's there because now that because we have to be fair, there's probably more people already that are using AI in a way that there is people that really use Bitcoin. I think that's fair.
100%.
And so everyone who criticizes me about Bitcoin's power usage, I can either do like a long thing that it's bullshit anyway, and look at Bhutan and look at the renewable energies, and it's an energy sink of first resort and last resort. Bitcoin and energy is a brilliant combination. But it's easier to say, well, your ChatGPT uses more, they just opened a new nuclear power plant, or they just fired up a coal plant in China for your ChatGPT prompt that you didn't really need, man. So it's easier to win that argument. And yeah, that makes sense. And also there's like a society and economics-wide sense now that yes, we actually do need more energy, and it's okay to have more energy. That's like the switch that has happened, and AI really helped with that.
I never understood how we should progress back to using less energy. That whole narrative never made sense to me.
Haven't you read your socialists? Yeah.
Because I thought like expanding human life, expanding production, expanding things is a positive thing.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that like one of the, like during the AI hype, and it's definitely a hype, but something really, really bad is going to happen with the whole AI bubble at some point. I mean, and then one of the things I also say is like us Bitcoiners, we are, experts in bubbles and hype. It's the energy efficiency. So now we sit there and we say, okay, ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, it can do amazing things, but it does need a lot of energy. Actually, there's even less argument to be made for the energy consumption of AI than for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin really is a new thing, while AI just does, some people say it's a glorified text replacement, right? So it's and I mean there's also the argument there, and we realize that the human brain is actually super energy efficient when it comes to in comparison to what AI does. The human brain cannot do Bitcoin, right? And the central banking system is definitely not more energy efficient than the Bitcoin, but maybe and not even gold, right? Nobody talks about gold mining and whatever. But yeah, this is also a debate that we are going to see.
Is there a world? I had that thought because I think we talked about it before, and I think you're against that worldview. But there's a worldview more and more that comes into Bitcoin more and more. I had like 3 guests of 800 that brought that in, so it's a very small percentage. That had that theory with AI drives down the cost of producing things almost to zero, and Bitcoin sucks up all the monetary energy. Why do we need money still if there is if everything is almost at zero cost? Maybe if we need energy abundance, if we can just press a button and we can design a home and robots gonna build it, and it's like very cheap, almost like costs nothing to do that. Is there a world where you even see a world beyond money, a world like post money?
Isn't that Star Trek? I think Star Trek is a world without money.
Never watched that.
You never watched Star Trek. Well, I don't know how to help you with that. It's interesting because it's one of the like science fiction thingies that is not totally negative, because most of our science fiction is always negative. It's always, you need to be afraid of the future and everybody's gonna die. Well, everybody's gonna die. Maybe not the Brian Johnson types of this world. They can see everybody else die, which is also not, that I mean, if you live 200 years and your friends don't, that's also shit, right? Okay, but I mean, as a theoretical concept, it's interesting to think about, like the idea of a post-scarcity world. From an economics point of view, I don't think it's feasible, and I don't think it makes sense. And even if, like, we don't know, even if the things that we today think are scarce and we value, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is always going to be scarce, right? But if today the things that we value are going to be non-scarce and are going to be super cheap, we'll come up with other stuff that we want that's going to be scarce and it's not going to be super cheap, right? Maybe a house costs nothing, the car costs nothing, but then we want to we want to go on a vacation to Mars. I mean, how long is it going to take until the vacation to Mars is for free? I mean, I think that even the most positive thinkers would say that's a pretty big timeline, right? So yeah, I mean, I think of it more like within the next 10, 20, 50 years, you'll see, the human population is going to go down. I think that's pretty clear. So there's going to be some deflation there as well. And I don't think we talk enough about, the effects of the demographics, not only on our, social security systems, but also on the economic system, because the inflating fiat money system has also gone hand in hand with an inflation of the number of people, right? Now, I would like there to be more people, but I think that these trends cannot be easily reversed. We'll see more of that. Definitely, that's one of the things we're going to see in the West is talk about have more babies. I hope it's not too late for that, but that's also another thing. So maybe we need technology to make it easier for us to have more babies, right? So maybe that's the way to go. It's easy to like have a science fiction story in your head and then sit in a podcast and say, I know what's going to happen, because nobody will ever be able to disprove what you're saying. So the only serious answer is there is trends, economic trends, and we can extrapolate them, but we really don't know.
Yeah, predictions you can only disprove with time.
Yeah.
You never really know it. But it's not a side note. Do you think it's an existential crisis that humanity faces, as Elon Musk always says, with the not making enough babies? Or is it just like a pendulum swing that just like will swing back, and then true wealth in 30 years is having 5 kids again because we need more babies? And
I mean, I think that people who have peddled the overpopulation myth are assholes. They're really, really evil people, because because there's one thing to say, I know how the future is going to look like, I have this and that experience, whatever, but there's a whole different like hubris to say, I know how many people can survive on planet Earth, right? But we need less people. That's just like there's so much evil in this statement, that it really bugs me. So yes, I'm totally with Elon. Like, I don't think he cares what my opinion is, but I'm totally with him when it comes to yes, we need more babies, but not just because there is like we need more people, but also because one of the negative things of fiat money is that the family, community, all these things have been discounted. And have been replaced. And when we talk about the dangers or like the dystopian AI, the idea of having robots taking care of everything, yeah, maybe. But my hope is that robots only take care of the things in the background that we don't see. I don't want to live in a world, personally, I don't want to live in a world where I don't have contact with other humans, right? And we already have that in some parts of the world, like in Japan, right? There is, what's the name? Hikimori or so? I don't know. There's people who never leave the house because they don't have any social connections, right? There's people who are, even like here in the West, there are many lonely people. And if you're lonely, move to a different city where you don't know anyone and don't speak the language. You're gonna be lonely really quick. And if you're lonely, maybe going to the supermarket and talking to the cashier, having a quick chat on the street, that can really help. But when we live in a world where everything you deal with is a computer or an AI, I don't think that's good. I think that might happen, but then human interaction is going to have a premium. So people who can pay for it will have that. You already see this with hotels. I don't know, when you travel, do you go to an Airbnb?
Yes, usually.
Yeah. And then there's the other version of Airbnb. So Airbnb mostly is there's some key somewhere. You don't meet anyone. You just go into an empty apartment, right? The other version is like hotels where there's no one at the reception. It's like a robot hotel, right? You can also do that. I think that's creepy. I think it's totally creepy. If I go to a hotel, I want to talk to people. I want to see people. I want to have somebody to talk to. Like, I know I can check out the next restaurant on Google Maps, but it's still nice to have somebody local who can give you a recommendation, right? That's my personal opinion. And I think that this is going to be more important, especially when it comes to the parts of the population that are not so price sensitive, that can actually afford that. And I don't think it's a new thing either. It's if you go to a good hotel, there's always going to be lots of people. And if you go to a cheap hotel, there's not going to be many people. And if you go to Airbnb, there's no people, right?
This actually is also my thesis around personal branding and AI, because people think about, oh yeah, there will be AI clones of all the podcasts and all the content creators and all of that, and might be the case and might already be the case. If you swipe on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, if you swipe an hour, you probably come across like 10 AI creators that you thought maybe it's a human. But I think that the more, so like, what is AI? AI can copy things that we previously couldn't copy that easily.
Mm-hmm.
We can copy now a video of you saying things, and it can't be just an AI fake. We can still tell, but maybe we can't tell in like 5 years. Maybe we most likely can't tell in 10 years if it was actual Nico or an AI Nico that can do it. But I think in that world where everything is copied and there's like 500 Nikos out there or 1,000 Nikos out there, the human connection, meeting you at a conference and shaking your hand, will be extremely valuable. So I think the more, I think also conferences will be a thing that people really crave for.
Maybe we'll have like, maybe when we sit down here in the studio, we'll have like a ritual where we like, I don't know, we exchange blood or something, and then we can show people that we are real persons. So I there will be something. Maybe we sign a Bitcoin transaction to show people that we.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast, and if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here. Or here. Oh, maybe also here.